Warning! What you are about to hear contains explicit language, adult themes, and potentially disturbing content. The views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts and do not reflect the opinions of anyone else, anywhere, ever, in the history of the world. This podcast is intended for an immature audience and should not be listened to by anyone, anywhere, ever, in the history of the world. You know, fuck it. You've been warned.
Ladies and gentlemen, dorks and dweebs, nerds of all ages, GeekPod Network Productions is proud to bring to you the most electrifying middle-aged guys in Syracuse, the Doctor, Hugh, the Pod Whore, Paul Showens. Alone, they are single geek beacons in a dark cop drama world. But when the mics go hot, they are GeekPod. God bless me! Hello and welcome to this week's edition of GeekPod. I'm your host, Paul.
I'm Hugh.
And I'm Corbs.
All right, boys. I don't know why I say this every week anymore, but what you playing?
Well, duh. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Although I may have some new games to talk about next week. Got a notification from Steam that 3 games on my Steam wish list from like 7 years ago were on sale. So I picked up 4 games for like $1.49 today. Hopefully
all
they're
4 or like
yeah,
each?
all of them together. Like
that's awesome.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, it only works with really old games. I mean, Steam is great if you have a computer that can run it, but as Paul knows, my gaming rig is dead. So I have my work computer and I have basically an office computer that I picked up so that I have a second computer. You know, it's okay for some older games, but anyway, the ones I picked up, Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth, and the entire Still Life series, which is kind of a paranormal detective mystery type thing. But Call of Cthulhu is a first-person, Lovecraft-based type game. I don't really know a whole lot about it. I just added it on years ago because, I'm into that thing. We've talked about Lovecraft a lot recently. Yes. And I was just, hey, you know what? I'm going to grab those because, it's a whole $1.49. And maybe I can talk about something other than Valhalla. I will tell you, though, this week, how far am I? Did I finish Sussex? I don't know. I decided, it's about time because my power level is, over 200, 230, 240, something like that. And so you guys probably don't know this, but there is a point at which you get to go to Asgard.
Yeah, I saw that in some of the walkthrough stuff.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily in a linear part of the story. It's kind of a side quest. But nice. I had read somewhere because I looked up. I was like, at what power level should you go to Asgard? Because I just wanted to make sure I didn't do it while I was super underpowered. And they were like, it's power level 90, so at least be 60 or 70. I'm like, oh well, fuck. I
should have went a while ago.
Yeah, but I also read that you should do it before the end of the game because it does add some context for things that happen in the end game. So I decided to start it. Really interesting so far. I guess this really wouldn't be a spoiler, but I think that if you let the game choose your gender, I think you're playing as female Ivor up until this point, and then you switch to the male one, because when you get there, you're a completely different character. You're somebody different. It's almost like, how Layla is in Ivor's, playing through Ivor's story from her point of view. It's almost like you step into one of the gods in Asgard's point of view.
Nice.
You're playing a completely different story. It's a little jarring at first because your character looks the same, but the voice actress even voices her differently.
That's cool.
To match this different personality. So it's cool. I don't have anything bad to say. I don't want to give out any spoilers though. So I'll leave it at that. But I'm looking forward to when you guys get there. It's a nice change of pace. It's a completely different kind of land.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to check that out. But I think I can speak for both Corbs and I in saying that we both finally set sail this week.
Yep. Both landed in England.
We've both headed to merry old England. Yes.
Yep.
I think I'm maybe about 12 hours behind you, Corbs. At
I
this
think
point.
so. Yeah. Yeah. I started. Obviously, you get to the first spot. You set up camp. You go in and talk to.
Ranvi.
No. I didn't see. I haven't talked to Ranvi yet. I talked to his brother. When you get there, you and your brother.
Sigurd. Okay.
Sigurd, right? And he shows you like your
bedroom
quarters in the longhouse. And then after that, you got the little box where they put the notes in there and stuff like that. You can go in and read those. I haven't done anything like that yet. I went on, well, I think I've been on 3 or 4 raids since then. So I built basically the blacksmith. He does the weapons.
Well, yeah, you have to. That's like the
right. That's the first one you got to do.
Yeah.
I did that one. I did the goods, where you get like the arrows and the rations. I did that one. I built the fisherman's house. I think I built that. I built the sleeping quarters for the crew. And then I built the hidden ones.
Hero.
Training for, I think my camp's at a level 3. 3 out of 6. So, and then what the hell is her name? Is it Volka? She just showed up like probably in the game, probably like this morning for me, but it's been a few. I've gone on a couple of raids since then. Like I've been trying to pick up like all the wealth around. So I've ended up at there's a couple of camps. The last one I just did was Lattiskar. Yeah. I just did that one. Because there was a bunch of wealth and stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
I went through there and I found it pretty cool that I didn't have to like raid the village, that town. I was able to go in and pretty much kill everybody, pretty much like stealth. I did it pretty much all like that. Was able to like jump down on people and kill them, sneak up behind them and kill them, hide out in the hay and stuff like that. I was able to get through that entire. I had to fight a couple of extra guys. Like you kill a couple guys and the guy next to him notices you, type of thing. But I killed probably 75% of them without having to use. I didn't even call the guys in the boat to raid the town. I was able to get through the whole thing. I did notice, and Paul, you'll hate this part of it, a lot more snakes in that town.
Fuck those snakes. I don't like that already. Yeah.
And there's one spot that you get. I think it's the glove. I'm not sure if it's the glove, but you have to get. No, it's not the glove. It's something else. It's like the stink brew. That's what it was. You have to go in, and there's a lady behind a grate, like a fence. She's in a cage type of thing, and you have to kill the snakes around there to get the eggs to give them to her.
Okay.
So that's the one thing I noticed. There was probably, I want to say, 6 or 7, maybe even 8 snakes in it that you have to kill. So, but I did that today, and I was able to get all of the wealth. I got the artifact out of there, which is the tattoo design. That's what the artifacts usually. 9 times out of 10, those are what the artifacts are. Because you and I were talking about that, Paul.
Yeah.
I got that. It took me 1, 2, 3, 4 times. I had to go back and forth because you chase it, and then if you get hung up or whatever, and you were talking about that. If you don't get the spot in time, it goes back to where it started. Yeah. Well, in this one, when you go back, it goes in the other direction.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't ran into that yet.
So you're running back to get back to the spot to chase it in the direction, and you get there, and it goes the other way. Jesus. I'm like, son of a bitch, I gotta go that way now. So I'm chasing after it that way, and I got hung up again, and I got to the spot where it was gone. I'm like, son of a bitch. So you go back and you walk across all the ropes, and you get back to the same spot where it is, and it goes in the other direction, and you got to try to catch it in the other direction. Because it's weird. It's like in the middle of the town, but it's like on the side, but it's in the middle, so it can go either way.
Yeah.
And that was a little annoying because you chase it and you be almost right there and it would disappear, and you're like, really? So then I start going back and it goes in the other direction. I'm like, son of a bitch. So I finally caught it going in the other direction. I was like, finally, I don't have to keep doing this. It got a little annoying. I was like, at one point I was like, I'm just going to leave it until later and just come back and do it. But I was like, no, fuck it. I'm here. Just get it done and get it over with. But I got all the wealth out of there. I got all the artifact. I got the artifact. I found the mask.
I found 3 masks now so far.
I think I've got 3 too.
Yeah.
There is one of those flighting papers, and I don't know which town it is, but I think it's near the one where you set this guy up as king. But the only way you can get to it is there's a ledge, and you can jump off the ledge to activate it. It's basically floating in midair. When you get to that, I mean, if you want to give it a try, go ahead. But at least last I knew, it was bugged, and like you can't if you go by it, it just disappears. It doesn't actually start going in any direction. So I'm sure it'll get fixed in a release. But when I get around to going back there, if I figure out how to get it, I'll let you guys know. But it's I fucked around with it and then looked it up, and people were like, "Yeah, it's bugged. It doesn't work."
Okay. I did go and get the bow too. I know you said to get that last time we talked, but you said just to get on your horse and ride straight through the middle of everything.
Yeah.
I took the boat and went the long way around.
That works too.
So I was looking at it. I'm like, because at first I tried to do it, but you end up running through some of those towns, and you have to, and obviously you pull the cloak over your head and you're trying to ride through, but they're still shooting at you, and it's not really a straight shot. You got to kind of weave around the roads and stuff like that. So I got to a spot and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to try something different. And I was like, you know what? And I looked and I pulled out, zoomed out on the map, and I'm like, you can just go all the way around, and there's nothing up there. I was wondering if I was going to end up having to kind of skirt around a village or whatever, but there's nothing up there at that point.
Nice.
So I just jumped off the boat. It was like, I was like 110, 20 meters or whatever to the thing. I walked up, I hit the rock once, I saved it, went back, and it was there one time.
Nice.
I was like, shit, that's sweet. And I texted a picture of Paul. I like the fact that the bow actually glows. So I said to Paul, I said, yeah, I told him I went and got the bow, and I said, it's pretty cool. It glows.
Yeah.
So, and that's the picture I got with him with the bow on his back, just fucking glowing. I
went back, by the way, that guy of Ragnar's in Norway that we talked about last week.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that guy? I went back the other day and took care of him. He didn't even hit me once.
Well, I'm sure at this point, yeah.
Yeah, it was just, I'm like, wow, what a change from like, a month ago.
Right.
And I was like running away. Oh no. And now I'm just like, he didn't touch me.
Wow.
I know. I saw that today when I upgraded a bunch of my weaponry and my armor and stuff. And then I went back out raiding, and it's just a whole different experience. Yeah. Now, just you whack somebody and they're down. Like I decapitated somebody today, like for the first time.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that. Yeah.
Why do you hate snakes?
I don't like snakes, like in real life.
Like, oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your power level?
I'm at, I believe, 54 right now.
Really? You're farther than me now.
Yeah. I noticed that when you went through doing everything in Norway before you leave, I was at like 33 before I left. And then I've been doing
close to 40, 43 or something like that.
I did a ton of raiding, and then I've been doing a bunch of the
well, you said you were working with
Soma. Yes.
Soma, yeah.
Yeah, I did that whole quest line with her where you're trying to gain allies in England. So and I think that helped. That bumped me up ahead of you power level wise anyway.
Yep, yeah. I've got I'm like a 40, I think a 43 or something like that.
Yeah.
So
you'll get there. I started running into the fanatics.
Yeah. I struggled with those early on.
Yeah.
Now they're not. I mean, all I do is hit, and I did find out what all the colors mean. When they flash red and you see like a rune on the enemy, that's an unblockable attack. You can't block it. You can't parry it, anything. You have to dodge.
Gotcha.
The gold flashes are ones that you can parry or deflect or shield, but I still dodge for those. I mean, all I do is hit, dodge, hit, dodge, hit. I mean, whenever they flash anything, I just dodge and make fairly short work of them. They are the most challenging enemies I've found well, except for the sisters. There's like 3 sisters. You'll learn that story. They're like witches.
Okay.
There's one of them that I encountered fairly early on. Went back not recently, but when I was well over 100, and she still whipped my ass. So
nice. I haven't met them yet. I did the whole chain, and you'll know what I'm talking about here, where you with Soma, where you find out that somebody is a traitor and the whole thing, and that was cool. That was a lot longer than I expected. Like that actually took me like a session and a half for me.
Yeah, you said that you and I were talking about that. You're like, I gotta get out of this doing this. I gotta start building up my settlement.
Yeah.
And I started doing that first. I started building up a sediment. I found the one you had to catch 10 bullhead.
Oh yeah. See, I didn't do the fisherman's shack yet.
That was a freaking nightmare. Like I was running up and down the coast, throwing the fishing line in, catching. I was catching like fish, like huge fish. I'm like, I just need small little bullheads, and I'm catching like huge cods, and I'm like, I don't need these things right now.
You know, when you run into those things, Google search where to find what fish, just because it's too scattershot. I mean, is it possible to do it without it? Absolutely. Yeah. And you will do nothing at all for that week or the next 3 or 4, trying to figure out where certain fish are. I ran into another one of those where I needed 5 of a specific kind of trout, and I started trying to fish myself to find it, and I'm not finding this fish. I looked it up, found a spot, 5 casts, all 5 of them were the one I was looking for.
So, I did the same thing with the reindeer antlers. And then by the time I went and finished that to get the 3 reindeer antlers, I couldn't even turn the quest in because I was basically done in Norway, and she's gone. So
yeah, I for some reason I didn't finish the quest before you take off. You and I were talking about that, Paul. Before you take off and go to England, there was a couple of spots there that I didn't get some stuff, so I missed a few things in there. But because obviously when you talking and you know when Sigurd says that we're going to leave and he's arguing with his father and he's calling his father basically a bastard or whatever because he knelt down to the rightful king or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, when he said, well, do you want to go? And I was like, well, yeah, let's go. And I was like, crap. Next thing they take off and they're sailing. I'm like, then I was like, oh, can I go back? So I finally figured out how to go back. But I clicked down to go back to Norway. You go to Atlas and you can switch back to Norway. But I went back there, but all the stuff had turned off. So
yeah,
so I don't know if it will come back up at some point because I know some of the spots in there. You and I were discussing that, Paul. There was that one spot just above where you met Sigurd was like your requested power was like 280.
Yeah, yes. I think you're going to go back there at some point.
Later in the game, clearly.
Yeah, I would assume so. But yeah, but I've been playing a lot this week, so.
Me too.
Good boys.
I'm enjoying this way too much. Like this is the most deep I've gotten into a game since I've had the PlayStation 4, I think. So, yeah, and it still says I'm only 1% into the game.
And they announced this week, they gave some details on DLC. We know we're getting 2 DLC packs, but they said that their plans for the DLC for this game are more ambitious than anything they've ever done before, and it sounds like it's going to extend beyond a single season. Now, Odyssey had 3 DLC packs, which were great. It makes me wonder if, they're planning on supporting this game for a few years because I think they've determined that they can't pump one of these out every single year. The games are too big. So it can't be an annual release, but they can make money by adding on to the game they already have. So it sounds like this is going to be the most robust downloadable content release that we've had in an Assassin's Creed game.
Now, what do these cost when you get the DLCs? Because I've never done this before.
Season pass is $39.99.
Saw that. Yep.
And that gives you all the DLC. Usually by themselves, 20 to 25. Sometimes you can get them on sale for 15. Yeah. I'll buy the season pass at some point. It's not. I think maybe they're going to start releasing stuff in March or April. I figured I'd wait. It's not like they can run out of it because it's not a physical disc. So I was going to wait till I could. At this point, don't even know if I'm at a point where I could play it. I may want to finish the game before I get into it. So I'll pick it up down the road. But it definitely. If it's as good as Odyssey's was, it's definitely worth it.
Nice. Yeah, because I was looking at that when I was at Walmart the other day, looking at the season pass and the Helix coins and all that. And I was reading on what it says on the back what the season passes are. I guess you can go to Ireland for one of them. And the other one is it has so you can do
Siege of Paris.
Yes. So yeah, that's interesting. I'll probably pony up for that at some point. But I've got some time. Anything else on Assassin's Creed or video games in general?
No.
All right, then, guys, what's got you geeked?
Well, I am excited. I have a few things. Actually, can I start off with telling you what doesn't have me geeked?
Sure.
Okay. You need to check that, Paul?
No, I'm good.
Because if I could hear it, the listeners could hear it.
You actually heard that buzz? Holy shit.
Yes, I heard that buzz. So right before we got on here, we were my wife was reading to Avery the last hour before she goes to bed. We do story time, and I sit there on my phone looking at stuff, unless she's reading her book, and then I listen. So I'm scrolling through news items, and I happen to see things that, it basically the headline was like the sex tech industry. So I'm like, I just want to know what that is because it might be something I can talk about. I click on it. Now, I didn't read the whole article. I think the general gist is they were interviewing somebody who has a company where they're creating high-tech sex toys or something like that. I got into the second paragraph and got as far as a single word, and I'm like, no, I don't need to read this, and I left. That phrase, not word, was teledildonic technology. Teledildonic technology. And I was like, nope.
I'm done. Yeah.
I'm sure it's very interesting, and I'm certainly not a prude or anything, but I'm just like, yeah, I don't need to know about this. But what I do need to know about, and I am geeked about, are cooking utensils. I purchased a few things that are going to be arriving over the weekend that I'm very excited about. One is a 14-inch carving knife, basically a mini sword, for cutting my bacon, because I decided that a slicer is just too big. It's not even the cost. It's that those things are huge, and I have nowhere to. Even if I had a place to store it, let's say I stored it on my bed and slept on the floor, when I want to use it, my counter isn't actually deep enough for one of those fucking things. It's not going to be useful. So I'm going to go the knife route, which is, some people swear by it, but you have to have the right kind of knife. So this is it's a very long blade, and it actually kind of has just a crescent at the end. It's not sharp or anything, and it's got like little dimples up the side so things don't stick. But it's the kind of knife that you use specifically for slicing very thin slices of meat and bread and things like that. That'll be here tomorrow, and I'm excited about that. The other thing was I went and bought a drug scale because I needed something that would measure in grams and percentages of grams. Because as I've been reading about cures for bacon, the number one cure that people really seem to like is something called the EQ cure, or equilibrium cure. And I did my last two batches. I might have mentioned it last weekend or last week on the show. I did 2 batches with this. And the idea is that it's a lot less spices, a lot less salt, a lot less everything. Like, it looks like it's not enough, but it's actually just exactly enough. And while you can under cure it if you don't leave it in long enough, it's not possible to over cure it.
Nice.
It's basically a foolproof method. There's a calculator, you put in how much your meat weighs, it tells you exactly how many grams of everything to add, and it's 100% foolproof. My problem is I was using the food scale we have, which this thing is ounces and pounds. It has a gram setting, but it's first of all, it doesn't give you decimal points on grams. So when I'm doing 6.4 grams of prog powder, I'm guessing. I'm like, okay, 6, it goes up to 7. I take a little bit out. Okay, it didn't move. Hopefully that's enough. I decided, since, if you under cure your meat, you can make yourself sick and kill yourself. It was worth $18 for a digital gram scale.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. $18 is worth not killing your family.
Yeah, absolutely. And in addition to food related stuff, do you know what Pakziki is? And I may be pronouncing that completely wrong.
No.
It is some sort of, I think it's Polish fried dough. Our local Price Chopper now has filled Pakziki. It's Pakzki. Basically, imagine a fried donut that they kind of cut open, filled it with some sort of cream, and then topped it with stuff. But the thing is, what they filled it with, the ones that we bought tonight, one of them was filled with whipped cream that had been blended with Chips Ahoy cookie crumbs.
Oh.
And then chocolate and crushed Chips Ahoy cookies on top.
Nice.
Oh, man. It would
that sounds really good.
And they have s'mores ones, all these. Oh, I've never even heard of this. It's so good and so bad.
Oh, I'm sure.
Where do you find them in the store?
What?
Where do you find them in the stores?
It was in Price Chopper.
Okay, but where? Like in the bakery and
well, these were right up front. You walk in the door. They've had a display for them for a few weeks, but I just ignored them because I'm not, I like sweets, but I also just ignore things that are sweet because I like sweets. But I walked in there with Damar and Avery tonight after therapy, and Avery ran right up to it, and she's like, "Oh!" And I'm like, "Okay, I'll finally look at what the holy shit."
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've literally walked past that display probably 10 times in the past 2 or 3 weeks and never looked to see what it actually was until tonight.
Wow.
All right.
Now I have to go to Price Chopper.
Yeah, right.
Paul, don't do it, dude. Come on.
I'll die. Yes.
I don't, please.
Send Paul into a diabetic coma.
Right.
I mean, they're like this big. They're huge.
I mean, you're not really talking me out of it.
I'm gonna eat one after one or during we come back from one of the breaks because Damara picked out a lemon raspberry one and discovered that the raspberry filling on the inside has seeds in it, so she can't eat it. So now I have to eat the box that she got, and she gets to eat the box that I wanted, the Chips Ahoy one. So,
I mean, if one of those just happens to disappear out of the box before she gets to it, I mean,
well, one did because I tried it.
Well, good.
And then she had hers, and I'm gonna go back and get more, and maybe I'll make it to the show next week. We'll see.
Maybe. So I'm gonna go ahead now. I don't know if you guys saw the news, but this really has me geeked. High C Orange Lava Burst is returning to McDonald's.
Oh, that.
It's been gone since 2017, and I'm looking off to the side because this is where my notes are. It was taken off the menu back in 2017, and over the years, McDonald's has received many tweets, messages, and even like handwritten petitions to bring it back. They're making those dreams come true. It's going to return as an option starting this month. It'll be starting to hit select locations this month and will be fully available across the country by June. So much like the McRib, McDonald's has set up a lava burst locator website, which I will have in the show notes. If you want to checking via zip code to see when we're getting it back. Do you know that originally was on the menu back in 1955?
No.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
It's one of their legendary orange drink rosters, which Fanta. Sorry, that's how Madison pronounces it. Fanta took the place of, I guess, when it went away in 2017. But I guess they're going to keep both of them, to keep everybody happy.
Well, Damara's excited because that was her favorite drink at McDonald's, and she was really sad when it went away. And then, really happy when we discovered that Burger King was carrying it.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't get her to eat Burger King very often because it's not McDonald's.
Very true. Because Burger King's fries suck. Yeah.
I like their fries. I mean,
actually, I like to say I'm the same thing. I like their fries better than McDonald's.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that the love for McDonald's fries, but Burger King's French fries taste like actual potatoes.
They do, and I think that's the problem. They don't taste like grease. Yeah.
Just lick on
it's one of those things. I mean, I love Burger King's. I love the Whopper. The Whopper is a work of art.
Yes.
The Big Mac is also a work of art.
It is.
So I mean, it's you got to have them both. I mean, in a world without either one of them would be a little less bright. There'd be a little less color and a little less flame broiled indigestion.
And on that note, Corbs, what's got you?
What are you writing down over there?
Man, I totally thought you were going to go with teledildonic, but I'm kind of glad that you didn't write that.
Yeah, nope, I'm not going with that one.
he's
just because I'm not sure what it entails, so I'm not touching that one.
Thank you. We don't touch that. So what's got me geeked is it was Mom's 69th birthday on
Snoogans.
Wednesday. What's today?
Friday.
Yeah, Wednesday. I don't even know when her birthday is. Holy crap. So yeah, so that's what's got me geeked. That's the reason why I was late getting here to the podcast.
You guys have been partying since Wednesday? That's why.
Yeah. Well, I took her to breakfast on Wednesday because my son doesn't have school. Doesn't have school on Wednesdays. Nobody has school in North Syracuse on Wednesdays. It's their day that they do remote learning, but none of the teachers sign in. It's basically for like if the kids need help with anything, the teachers are available during that time. So, but he has to go to the school every once in a while and pick up materials.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that. So I took my mom to breakfast for her birthday. My son and I did. And then we went and picked up his schoolwork after. So, and then we got dinner on Wednesday night for, we ordered Sonic.
Nice.
So, but tonight I took her out to Chili's for dinner. me and my son and my girlfriend, we all went to Chili's. She's a big wine drinker. My mom is.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and a couple of glasses of wine, and she's very talkative. So we call her drunk mom at that point. We call her drunk mom at that point.
Oh man, did she tell you your dad's not really your dad or something?
Oh no, I've known that for a long time.
That's a load of horse shit. I've seen you and your dad together. That's yeah. Yep. No denying that one.
So drunk mom made an appearance tonight.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So what happened was we were at Chili's and she had to go to the bathroom. She's wearing the double mask. They recommend the double mask now.
Yeah.
So she had the 2 masks on, but she put the 1 mask on, and the 1 mask was over her eyes, and she couldn't figure out why she couldn't see.
Old people are great.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, so that was my night. But telling that story, the first time we went out with my girlfriend to dinner one night, and she had wine. She drinks Moscato. Okay. She had 2 glasses of Moscato, and we were coming home. It was the middle of summertime, and she's hanging out the back of the car, out the window, and she's screaming at people that we kidnapped her.
Oh God! Wait, this is your mom?
This is my mom. No, she's in the back seat, which makes it even better. And my son and I are in the front seat, and we're same thing that you guys. We're laughing hysterically. I had to roll the window up and lock the window to keep her from hanging out the window.
This
was over the summer, not tonight. This was over the summer, but that was the first appearance of drunk mom in the summertime.
That's fucking great.
Yeah. So
that's gonna get real old, just so you know.
No,
right.
No, because sometimes she's not, but sometimes she'll just fall asleep in the back seat on the way home. She gets 2 glasses of wine and she's probably right now she's probably sleeping. We've only been home for a half an hour. I mean, she was almost asleep in the car on the way home this time. So
that's awesome.
But it's just, it was nice to take her out, and she does a lot for my family. When I work, she's retired. So when I was working, she was always here with my kid. So she's basically a second mom to my son. So
can you give her a couple glasses of wine and get her on the show some Friday night?
That would be fucking great too. You got to know his mom too. Hugh.
Just popping in tonight.
Right, he's gonna go over and wake her up, make her do the movie review.
I gotta lock her door. So, but that's it. That's what had me geeked. It was just nice to take her out and pay for dinner for her and stuff like that. Nice. So,
well, apparently it's the week for it because tomorrow morning we have the drive-by birthday celebration for Madison. She's about to turn 11. Wow. She's reclaiming Galentine's Day, I guess. So.
I was with my girlfriend last night, and she mentioned March 14th.
Good. So you guys are getting lined up already. Perfect. You're welcome.
Nice.
So, figured what you guys meant.
Yeah.
What's that?
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right. I think that's a perfect stopping point right there. We're gonna jump to break, guys, and we'll come back and go right into Hugh's news and the classic movie review.
Hooray!
All right, stick with us, guys, girls, peeps.
The 4th annual Sci-Fi Horror Fest is coming with an all-new location, new celebrity guests, and more to enjoy. Sci-Fi Horror Fest has a new home for 2021 at the Vernon Downs Casino and Hotel in Vernon, New York. Sci-Fi Horror Fest will be held on August 27th and 28th. Sci-Fi Horror Fest is a family-friendly event featuring exciting guests including CJ Graham and Loren Malloy, as well as fun activities, vendors, and a media area with an eclectic group of podcast personalities. More guest announcements will be announced soon. For more information and to purchase tickets, go to www.sci-fi-horrorfest.com. That's www.sci-fi-horrorfest.com. Sci-Fi Horror Fest is currently looking for volunteers. This is your chance to be part of the fun. Please note, dates and details of the event are subject to change due to any lasting issues due to COVID-19.
All right, and we are back. And now, Hugh's news.
Well, Paul, before we talk about the news, I think we need to talk about something important, maybe more important than the news. As you brought us into the first break, you said, hang with us, guys and gals. And unfortunately, today I was introduced to the world of neopronouns. Now, we all know that pronouns are a big deal, and people are able to choose their own pronouns. And we're not going to discuss that today or here, that particular part of it. That's become part of life. But there is apparently something called neopronouns, which I was not aware of. Have either of you heard this?
No, but I'm curious, so I'm getting my pen.
I urge you to look it up because the first one you hit on Google will certainly give you a good smattering of things. But basically, while there are some established ones now that are used by multiple people, it's basically creating your own pronoun. So it could be based on a real world, like, some people use the word fae for fairy. So they go, fae self, things like that. A lot of them, though, are just things made up. Like there's one that was actually created. This has been around for a while, back in like the 40s, using the letter A as a pronoun. So A hit a self in the head with a bat. It's as confusing as it sounds. But a lot of them are things that are not words. Basically you can say anything. I could say za. I am za. That is my pronouns are za, za self, za. I don't know. And I certainly don't say this in poking fun at it. It was certainly an eye opener because while some of those I understood, but when the regular ones, we get into the neopronouns, I was like, oh man, I am so glad I'm going to be dead before this becomes mainstream, because I have just a handful of friends. So if you all decided that all of a sudden I had to call you by special names, I could probably keep it straight. But holy crap, what if you have like 50 or 60 friends and every single one of them chooses a different made up word as their pronouns? I mean, how can anybody be expected to remember that?
Yeah,
I think, and here's the true test of it. And I don't know, because again, like I said, this is not negative. This is somebody who does not live in this world grappling with learning about it. Because Tamara's learning about it in her book writing groups, because some of the people are using those types of pronouns. So she's the one that said, oh, have you heard of neopronouns? Oh, no, let me look it up. Holy shit. I think the true test is if you're actually going to go that far, okay? You're going to go that far into made up words and not just like, my pronouns, you look like a girl, but my pronoun is he. Okay, fine. Yeah, what you identify,
right,
I'm okay with
that.
Yes. You tell me that, I'm cool with that. But if I accidentally refer to you by a made up word or by not using a made up word that I could not possibly have known beforehand, if you politely correct me and I make a mental note of it, we're good. If you flip out on me like people tend to on the internet when someone uses the wrong pronoun, I think that's wrong, because if we're going to delve into things that you create in your head to identify with yourself, which is fine, it's not reasonable to expect other people to know that.
Agreed.
Agreed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Have either of you had experience with this? Because I've only seen stuff on the internet. People are very touchy about that, and I don't personally. You could call me asshole as a pronoun, and I'd be fine with it. I'm not going to take offense to anything. I don't care. But if your particular place in life, if that really affects you, that's perfectly fine. I would be interested to know how people that use the non-standard pronouns, if we can call it that, how they feel when somebody who has no idea, makes that mistake in their estimation, how they
Right.
deal with it. What is the protocol, or do people just, flip out? And, because we've all seen that. We've all seen the flip out, the whole "it's ma'am" GameStop.
Yes.
We've all seen that. So I would be really curious, if any of our listeners utilize these neopronouns. I would love to hear something a little more about that from not a Wikipedia article that just lists what they are and where they originated from, but in actual usage. How does that work? In the general world where 99% of the people you run into aren't going to have any clue.
Right.
Yeah.
And just know that if you do come forward and want to discuss this with us, it's not a joke. We won't be making fun of you. This won't be a joke at your expense. We're legitimately curious about how the fuck does this work.
Yeah, and I mean, we make jokes about things sometimes. We make jokes about ourselves. I mean, I think we poke fun at ourselves as much as we poke fun at anything else. But this certainly, in bringing this up, I make a few half jokes about, being confused and not understanding it. But that's mostly because I'm confused and not understanding it. So it's not meant in any negative way. I would love to learn a little more about this, just because, I mean, the last thing I want, I mean, we were talking about the convention of the summer just before we came back, before we turned the recording on, and somebody walks up to our table and I make a pronoun mistake. What happens then? What's the protocol? How do I recover? Do you flip out on me? Do you say, oh, this is what I prefer? Do you ignore it and, just walk on like you probably did most of your life before you decided you were going to make this more known? Maybe before you understood you used different pronouns. You just weren't sure what it was. How does that all work? Because it isn't as easy as, I identify as a he, not a she. This is infinitely more complicated.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. And I mean, what are we supposed to refer to Jason Randall as?
I don't know. My dad once said there was this someone who walked in front of our car once, and my dad referred to that person as a he, she, it. Probably not the most woke thing for him to say, but I mean, it was also probably the 1980s, and he was old and from Altmar. So, what are you going to do? Yeah. So on to the news. We're going to do a little bit of follow-up from last week. More G4. More news out of the G4 revival. Both Adam Sessler and Kevin Pereira are returning to their respective shows, X-Play and Attack of the Show. Paul's got a smile. Yes. No word yet on any of the other bigger names, but Olivia Munn has been reached out to, but is too busy hoping for a call from Marvel to respond. Next up, why do you Carano so much? The white, racist, stupid internet exploded when Gina Carano was let go by Disney this week. Her social media posts about stolen elections, Holocaust comparisons, and general conspiracy nonsense likely played a part. Okay? As with my message to the sneaky artist last week about, slipping things in, why do celebrities do this? When you post stuff, it's going to be called out. Whether you think you're clever, whether you think you're above it, when you post things like that, it's going to be an issue. Now, yeah, the trolls are out there saying, my free speech and cancel Disney Plus, which, by the way, confirmed that they have something like 92 million paid subscribers right now. I tried to do the math, 92 million times, $8, $9 a month. Whoo, that's a lot of money. Seems like she's going to try to land on her feet. She has announced that she's doing a movie with Ben Shapiro, I believe, who's
yes.
Those racist talking heads. I mean, this is the equivalent of saying, "Screw you, Disney! I got my own Hallmark movie," except it's the racist, Holocaust denying Hallmark channel. I don't really see that as a victory. And the sad thing is, I liked her in the part. I think a lot of people did. It's just this isn't the left canceling people. Okay, when you say mean things about other cultures and beliefs and things like that, it's going to backfire on you. Period. It's reality. It's the world we live in. You can pretend that it doesn't matter, but then you can pretend you didn't lose your job at the House of Mouse, the biggest media company in the fucking world. Who blows that?
Gina Carano.
Yeah, apparently. Finally, the last Mandalorian of Us. Pedro Pascal has been cast as the male lead Joel in HBO's adaptation of the Last of Us video game. It's about basically a world where the cordyceps fungus. Are you familiar with that, Corbs? You know what cordyceps is?
No.
Now there was news stories a few years ago about how there were zombie ants and zombie spiders and
yes.
zombie deers and shit like that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the fungus gets in their brain, grows all these weird horns, and it kind of kills them, but also it controls them to propagate the fungus more. Basically, that's the general idea, but it's happened to humans. And it's a post-apocalyptic game. Incredible storytelling across both The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2. They've also cast Game of Thrones Bella Ramsey as the female lead Ellie. Now, I want to talk about this casting for just a second because it's a little strange. Okay, Ellie was originally based on the actor Elliot Page. Sorry, there we go with the pronouns. I did catch myself though. It's so much so that there was a lawsuit because they did not give their rights to the face, so they had to change it up a little. But imagine Elliot Page years ago, and Joel was kind of like your typical, bearded, husky Texas guy. I honestly think he looks a lot like Darlene's boyfriend on the Connors, except that guy's kind of a Wolfman thing going on. But both of these castings are weird. I mean, Bella Ramsey was great in Game of Thrones as the pint-sized murderous child queen, who was a good but murderous and kind of like killed him. But not the person I imagined playing Ellie in the game. The same thing with Pedro Pascal. I mean, he's been doing a great job on The Mandalorian, Wonder Woman 1984, and Game of Thrones. If you weren't aware of that, he was also in Game of Thrones in a very prominent role in the early seasons. I don't know. He doesn't look the part, first of all, because he's not a white guy, obviously. So some people are mad about that because they cast him. And forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming he is of some sort of Latin descent based on his look and name. I believe
he's Colombian.
Okay, and so one thing, the internet's mad because it's a white guy and the character is a white guy, and they're saying, oh well, you can recast white people with people of color, but if you ever recast a character of color with a white person, everybody loses their minds. The whole Joker meme thing.
Yes.
I don't think that matters all that much, but I don't. From what I've seen of him so far, he doesn't feel. I've not seen him in a role that feels like Joel. Now he could certainly make it his own, but right now we're talking about adapting an existing property, and I'm having a real hard time fitting him in that Joel-shaped hole in my head.
And now this is an HBO Max show or a movie, right?
It's a TV show. It's an HBO miniseries. HBO Max. I think they're the same thing now.
Yeah.
I am really excited about it still. I mean, I know he's a great actor, and I'm sure that they chose him for a reason. But it's really, really he has a really unique look to him, And it's I can't imagine him with the grizzled beard speaking in a Texas accent with slightly long hair. I mean, it doesn't. It just doesn't look like him. But we'll see. I mean, I have to imagine that HBO knows what they're doing. I mean, they don't generally make mistakes. Do you have? You don't know the game all that much. Do you have any thoughts on that, Paul? I know you know of the game.
I know of the game because I did it was in a bundle when I got my PS3, and I don't think I ever opened it because you guys know how I play video games.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really great idea, and I buy a bunch of games, and then the next platform comes out, and I'll buy that one and buy a bunch more games. And but like I said, I don't know a lot about it. Both great actors. I think they will do a good job, but I don't know the source material.
Yeah,
like you do. It's a show I'll definitely watch, but I think a lot of it has to do with he's kind of a golden boy right now. Like he can do no wrong. So why you cast him in something and you're going to get buzz off of it. So
really, I mean, is he that big? Because we know he's in The Mandalorian, and nobody else does.
He played Pablo Escobar.
Yes,
in Narcos.
Narco. Yeah.
And on was it not on Netflix? So he's done a few things. I mean, I've seen obviously The Mandalorian, obviously, but you don't really know it's him. We've only seen his face 3 times, something like that. 2 times,
twice.
Yeah.
3 times. No, 3 times.
So
I forget about the Imperial Outpost.
Right. So maybe you don't know that's who the actor is. So I get the fact that people may not know who he is. But Paul's right. Right now, he can do no wrong. So you're going to put him in you're going to try to get him in as many things as you can. So
gotcha.
Even if his part as Maxwell Lord should have been played by Nathan Fillion. I'm just saying, the moment I saw that, that's what I thought. But But he did a great job. Don't get me wrong.
Maybe you feel the same way about that casting as I do about this casting. And I'm sure that your feeling on that had nothing to do with the fact that, Maxwell Lord is depicted as white in the comics. It's just that because he is white in the comics, that's the picture you have in your head of that character. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing racist about that if that's how the character was written. But the problem is if you mention it and talk about it, that's okay. If you go online and start saying, this is bullshit, Joel and Maxwell Lord should have been white people, screw them, whatever, racial expletive you want to put in there, that's where it becomes wrong. I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable for people who are familiar with source material and have played the games to hear casting and be like, that is not who I would have. Nathan Fillion would have been great for Joel too.
Oh, nice.
Actually, because he kind of has similar, basically they kind of looks the same. And
so what you're telling me is,
Pedro Pascal is taking roles away from Nathan Fillion. That's what.
Thank you. I was leading you there. I was trying to lead you there, but I couldn't come up with Pedro's name at all for a second.
So what we need is a show with both of them as co-leads, and that'll make everything right.
Can we just have a show where they like switch off each episode playing the same character?
Oh, no. You know what? I want to see Pedro as Batman and Nathan as Robin. How's that?
I would watch that. I'm not going to lie.
But that's the news, kids. Now, the announcement of the Face Off getting a sequel, I am going to peruse 4chan for the inevitable QAnon. Trump got a face swap with Biden and is actually still running the country threads. Paul?
In other news, emus and kangaroos cannot walk backwards, therefore dashing their dreams of a moonwalking career. Back to you, Corbs.
Well, you sound like Val Kilmer there.
What?
Relax. I'm leading into my movie. We're talking about Real Genius, starring Val Kilmer as Chris Knight, the super genius, and it's the other lead is Gabe Jarrett as Mitch Taylor, the young high school science whiz kid. Mitch is recruited out of high school by the head professor at Pacific Tech to work on a top secret space laser nicknamed Crossbow.
Laser beam.
Laser.
Sorry, wrong movie.
Mitch initially doesn't care for Knight's slacker attitude, but eventually is won over, and their friendship allows them to make progress on their laser project. I do have to do that now.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's only when the boys learn that the government is using their laser as a weapon, they start to question their actual ability of the laser itself. The geniuses students fight back and work together to turn the tables on the government. Basically what it is these two finally figure out that the head professor is working with the CIA to develop a laser that they can assassinate political people from space undetected. They realize it when the genius from the 70s that's still at the school, he lives in their closet.
Yes, I forgot about that.
So they find him. He lives behind, actually not in the closet, behind the closet, I should say, in the steam tunnels or whatever the hell it is. They all kind of group together, and they basically sabotage the laser. What they do is they have it shoot the laser at the professor's house with a little prism in the window and a giant vat of popcorn. That when the laser hits the prism, it heats up the popcorn and basically fills his house with popcorn. The funny joke about it is this guy hates popcorn. So that's why they did it.
All back. Yep.
Yeah. So it all kind of ties back in together. It's a good movie. I'm not going to say it's a great movie. It's one Val probably might still consider one of his successes, as he hasn't had many lately. Batman was maybe one, I guess. I don't really know if you consider it a success.
That wasn't a success due to him, though. That was a success due to Jim Carrey. I mean, really, you could have put anybody in the bat suit in that movie, and it would have done just as well.
Yeah,
Jim Carrey with the next Batman movie. Yes.
Yeah, the only Batman actor that ever added to the movie. Come on, it's the first. Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton, I agree.
I mean, when
Michael
we're talking
Keaton was
about
not
original,
the first. Yes.
Adam West is
Give Adam West his
yeah.
due.
Well, in these movies, in these current movies,
yeah,
Yes.
in the movie, in the actual movies, yeah. Michael Keaton far above everybody else, I think.
Well, and we're not even getting into the Bonner discussion. I'm just talking about those sections of Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher movies. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. But so I'm going to give the movie 2.5 stars. Acting was okay in it. There's a lot of good, funny jokes in it.
Do they hold up?
Yeah, they still hold up. One of the jokes is when they go. One of their protagonists is Ken. Another kid at the school. He's not a genius, but he's kind of like he works on a project with them. Excuse me. They take his car apart and put it in his bedroom. He's got like a small little I don't know I can't remember what it was, but it's a small car. So they take the wheels off, take everything off, and they put it in his room and put it back together. And then they get it to like jump up and down. And the joke is, Ken, you're not supposed to park your car on school property, and it's in his room. But before that, they're coming out and you see his license plate says Kent or whatever on it or something like that. And Mitch says to him, "Oh, my mom does that to my underwear." And Bill Cameron says, "Will you put license plates in your underwear? How do you sit down?" So I mean, some of the jokes hold up, some of them don't. So, like I said, 2.5 stars. I mean, I watch it when it's on. I've probably DVR'd it. Probably I'll DVR and then delete it, and then I see it on again and DVR it again. So I can watch it. Probably just keep it and be done with it. But I'll watch it. I watch it a little bit here and there. It's it's not one of those movies that when it's on you sit down and you watch it. So like I said, 2.5 stars, maybe 2, maybe 2.5. I'm not going to go overboard on it. So that's all I got.
I think a lot of these movies, as you review them, I'd like to hear more about if the humor holds up, because jokes and comedy in general, I'm starting to discover really, really don't hold up to the test of time. Most of the
lot
time.
of shit gets cringy now.
Yeah. I mean, I was reminded of now when we were kids, Eddie Murphy Raw was like a huge.
Oh my God.
You remember that? I was reminded of the Mr. T of him, basically butt fucking Mr. T joke.
Yes.
Hey boy, you look mighty cute in them jeans. Flex my butt cheeks and rip your dick off. That did not age well, not at all. I mean, pretty much anything he did there.
No.
Maybe the throwing of the shoe of his, that thing might be okay, but a lot of these people that we thought were really funny. I mean, we're not even talking about the whole woke crew and things being inappropriate. Just it kind of makes me scared. 50 years from now, people are going to be listening to episodes of Geek Pod and they're going to be looking at us like they look at Harvey Weinstein now.
That'll be me. Just
probably,
saying.
yeah.
Well, you are the ringleader, so.
And I'm also like the worst offender usually. I am the least woke one out of this group, and I've embraced that.
Hey, you got to embrace it, baby.
So. But somehow with my charisma, I still pull it off. I'm still likable.
Well, you think that, but imagine what people
No,
think.
you're the one that pointed it out last week. So you gave it 2 to 2.5 stars. Roger Ebert, on the other hand, from his review from August 7th of 1985.
I'm pretty sure it's when it came out. I didn't say that.
That's all right. Only reason I know is because he always has them in his reviews. Right. He gives it 3.5 stars.
Wow.
And he says, the movie involves the saga of Mitch, played by Gabe Jarrett, a brilliant high school student whose science fair project has revised the theory of laser beam technology. He is personally recruited by Professor Hathaway, played by William Atherton, a famous physics professor who wants the kid to work in his personal laboratory. Once on campus, the kid meets the legendary Chris Knight, played by Val Kilmer, the most brilliant freshman in history, who is now a junior whose mind is beginning to be cluttered by mischief. The two students room together.
Hang on, in the movie, he's a senior. He's not a junior.
Oh, maybe Ebert got it wrong. We should probably dig him up and chastise him.
I will.
The two students room together, and there seemed to be a third person in the room, a strange wraith-like bearded figure who disappears into the clothes closet and doesn't seem to be there when the door is flung open. The professor is running a scam. He has a Defense Department contract for a sophisticated laser device so accurate that it could incinerate a single man on Earth from a base in orbit. The professor is using his students as slave labor to do most of the work on the project while ripping off the government grant to build himself a new house. The students, meanwhile, have no idea they're working on a weapon system and are more interested in using laser beams to lead everyone to a tanning invitational.
Yes.
They've set up by turning a lecture hall into a swimming pool. Nice. Real Genius allows every one of its characters the freedom to be complicated and quirky and individual. They're especially true of Jordan, played by Michelle Mayrink, a hyperactive woman student who talks all the time and never sleeps and knits things without even thinking about it, and follows Mitch into the John because she's so busy explaining something that she doesn't even notice what he's doing. I recognize students like this from my own undergraduate days. One of the most familiar types on campus, and one of the rarest in the movie, is the self-styled eccentric who develops a complex of weird personality traits as a way of clearing space and defining himself. That's a weird tangent.
Yeah.
Real Genius was directed by Martha Coolidge, who made Valley Girl, one of the best and most perceptive recent teenage movies for 1985. What I like best about her is that she gives her characters the freedom to be themselves. They don't have to be John Belushi clones or fraternity jocks or dumb comoids. They can flourish in all of their infinite variety as young people with a world of possibilities and a lot of strange, beautiful notions. Real Genius contains many pleasures, but one of the best is its conviction that the American campus contains life as we know it. I feel like I need to say the end because he always cuts off really weird.
That was an interesting review. Not nearly as good as last week's.
No. Last week was pretty fucking great.
Yeah.
So yeah, he gives it 3.5 stars. You gave it 2.5. But he brings up a good point. He throws out the legendary John Belushi there, and I'm wondering when you're going to hit some of Belushi's classics. Just saying.
Soon.
Blues Brothers, Animal House.
Well, Animal House is a fucking given.
You better do Blues Brothers. Let me know ahead of time. Maybe I'll even dress the part. Throw back to like 3 years ago, Hugh. We had the discussion when we were doing one of the zombie balls that I said we should do the Blues Brothers, and you said I've never even seen that movie.
Yeah. See, that's why I didn't know what you were talking about, because I've never seen that movie. That just didn't stick in the brain cells.
Yeah, you should though. It's good stuff. And I have to switch screens. Hold on.
I'm kind of afraid to watch old movies now, man.
But you're right. I mean, watching old movies now, like you were just saying. I mean, the jokes from then that you thought were funny, now people think are offensive. I mean, I've seen the meme on social media that will say, you know, if you've seen these four guys, you had a great childhood. It's Sam Kinison, Eddie Murphy, George Carlin, and Richard Pryor.
Yep. And comedy's not the same now.
If those four guys were alive now, they wouldn't be successful because all their...
Carlin would be fine. Carlin would be absolutely fine.
Oh,
I think he's right. Yes, because Carlin was a fucking genius.
Carlin was woke before woke was woke.
Yes,
and he knew what was going on, and he crafted his comedy to make sure that it wasn't offensive to anybody except the people it should have been offensive to.
Right. I think he would have done great, but Eddie Murphy would have an issue. Yeah. Sam Kinison would have an issue. Andrew Dice Clay.
And does it make you feel bad that you thought this stuff was funny at one point?
No.
Does it? Are you kind of like, ew?
I mean, there's some stuff that I think about, like, oh my God, you know, why did I think that was funny back then? Why, you know? But it's just that at that time it probably was funny, but the fact that everything has changed now, it's offensive.
I still go with no.
The argument that people make up against that is, for just as an example, is it doesn't matter when it was, making fun of gay people was never funny, and they're not wrong. So why did we laugh back then?
Right.
Because back then it was socially acceptable.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, right.
So
Yeah.
I mean that's a really good point, and that's why I said, does it make you feel weird? Because it certainly sometimes it bothers me.
In the moment, yeah, you're all, it's almost like you're like, ooh,
Well,
but then I still laugh, and I'm an awful person.
Example. TV show that I used to watch, and I still watch religiously when
MASH?
it's not. Huh?
MASH?
You are correct. You are correct. I will watch that show, and I still laugh at the same jokes because I think that holds up. The jokes hold up. The jokes hold up. They may be raunchy and stuff like that, but I still find them funny. I saw today on social media that MASH is now rated PG-13.
Wow.
Exactly.
Really?
Yeah, because of the jokes. And
I mean,
because
yeah,
of-
it couldn't be from anything else, but
I was dumbfounded at that. I'm like, PG-13. I mean, I was watching that when I was 10 years old on reruns and stuff like that. I mean, my family watched that all the time. My family, my dad signed up when you could get the 3 VHS copies every month or every other month. He got them all.
mhm.
We don't have them anymore, but that's besides the point. But he literally got every single episode of MASH. And I've seen every episode of MASH. I've
Multiple
seen
times.
Oh, definitely. All the way through to the end episode, which to this day is still the number one most watched final episode ever TV show. It's not the most watched program, most watched TV finale.
Nice.
116 million people watched that video in 1983, that show when it was on in 1983. 116 million people.
At that point, that was unprecedented.
It was.
Yeah.
They were saying that the cast went out to dinner that night, the night that it aired, and there was nobody in the restaurants. They were
Everyone was home watching it.
Everyone was home watching the final episode of
Wow.
MASH.
That's awesome.
Just take that in perspective. The next one, it was the Seinfeld finale, and it was only like 86 million. I mean, you're talking 30, 40, 50 million more people. And that was 1983. Seinfeld went off the air in whenever, I don't know, 2000 and whatever it might have been. I don't even know when it went.
I love that year.
The whatever.
2000 and whatever it might have been.
Right. I'm just saying, think about that. So if that show was on now and held up, how many people would have watched that show at that time?
We would never know because it would be split between network viewership, streaming service viewership, DVR delays, 3-day
You're not
delay,
wrong.
7-day delay,
Yep, you're right.
live plus 3 viewership. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You
But
never
they-
really know if anyone's actually watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they'd consider it a victory if like 5 million, 6 million people watched it. So
Right.
Right. But it's just weird. The point I was making that's now considered, at the time it was probably PG.
Right. That was just normal. Your whole family could watch that.
Yeah.
That's family viewing.
it
And
really
now,
was.
now it's PG-13.
I mean, I hated it because I didn't like the whole war thing, but my dad watched it. So, I mean, I saw, I don't know how many episodes I saw, but I mean, I watched enough of them, and yeah, there was never any question about whether it was appropriate for the family.
Right. So it's just weird. When I saw that, because I belong to like the MASH TV series on social media, and every day I get something. You probably know, Paul. You see me.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
You see me
I see
share
a lot.
Yeah.
Do you
But
share
yeah,
MASH memes?
Yes.
So, but
Just because I start writing something down doesn't mean everybody needs to stop talking.
But we like to point it out, you know.
yeah, we like to make the stop to make sure everybody knows that you're writing
Paul's
shit down.
right here. Paul's writing something down.
This is where if I edited more, we could do like big arrows pointing at me as I go like
Yeah.
that.
I'm not sure that MASH memes is a good name though, but
Yeah. That's not really what I put, but okay.
Okay,
At
good,
this point, this might be something in this conversation might be the title of the episode.
Possibly. I have a lot of good ones right here. But you know what? I don't have anything derogatory to special needs children yet, so we got to come up with something.
Yeah. We were talking about that during the break, about how last week he called. What'd you call last week's episode?
No genius.
No genius. I'd be like, well, at least you didn't come up with a name that made fun of disabled children or something.
Yet.
Yeah.
That's true.
I still have the ability to edit.
Because you still have the proud no wokeness and charisma to get away with it, so it could happen.
It could, but you know what? It could happen after the break. We're gonna go to break. We're gonna come back. We're gonna wrap this show up. I've got a few things I want to throw out there, and I'm actually gonna ask you boys about what your plans are for Valentine's Day, since it's 2 days away.
All right.
We'll see in a few minutes.
The 4th annual Sci-Fi Horror Fest is coming with an all-new location, new celebrity guests, and more to enjoy. Sci-Fi Horror Fest has a new home for 2021 at the Vernon Downs Casino and Hotel in Vernon, New York. Sci-Fi Horror Fest will be held on August 27th and 28th. Sci-Fi Horror Fest is a family-friendly event featuring exciting guests including CJ Graham and Loren Malloy, as well as fun activities, vendors, and a media area with an eclectic group of podcast personalities. More guest announcements will be announced soon. For more information and to purchase tickets, go to www.sci-fihorrorfest.com. That's www.sci-fihorrorfest.com. Sci-Fi Horror Fest is currently looking for volunteers. This is your chance to be part of the fun. Please note, dates and details of the event are subject to change due to any lasting issues due to COVID-19.
And we are back. I don't know where we're going, but we're back.
All right.
Man, you really leave them high and dry there, Paul.
I do, and I purposely did it because I wanted to try and get a reaction when I hit record.
I didn't even realize you hit record. I just looked up and it's like, oh, it's recording.
Here we go. So it's funny, Hugh, you brought up the neopronouns earlier, because I actually had something happen today at work that involves pronouns, and I was just kind of puzzled by it.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna jump right into it. I got an email from somebody at the firm today, and we all have email signatures that go across the bottom. It usually has your name, your title, where you work, and your phone numbers. Well, this one and names and everything have been changed to protect they them.
The possibly innocent.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
work in a law firm, nobody's innocent there.
That's very true. But our good friend Willie Schmishman, who works in process and analytics, we'll say, must have added on to his, because it says, his name, Willie Schmishman dash processing and analytics. Underneath that, where it's normally blank before you go into what office you work from and your phone numbers, it says pronouns : he / him / his.
I've seen that. Some people I work with have that now.
I kind of did some spot checking for the rest of the day, and nobody else has that in theirs. I'm thinking he legit did this on his own. And it just puzzled me. So I didn't know this was a thing, and I wanted to ask about that. So that's why I kind of giggled earlier when you went into the pronouns thing, because I knew this was coming later in the day. So,
yeah, I've noticed that with some work emails. Now, because I work support, we have kind of a weird system that just about every email in the company somehow gets routed through us.
Okay.
So there's a paper trail. Now there are things that get filtered into my actual email. I disappeared for a second. They get filtered in my email that matter to me, but I also have a filtered one, which is like thousands of freaking emails. And I've seen it there. I've seen it in customer emails and stuff. And yeah, I mean, putting your pronouns there is a thing, and that's kind of a solution to what I was talking about before.
Right.
Letting everybody that you work with, these are the pronouns you prefer. But yeah, it struck me as weird the first time I saw it, and I haven't put it there because if I was to, it would be pronouns, whatever, or I don't care if you call me asshole or something. It would be something smart ass that I'd probably get in trouble for.
Right, and which was my answer to it when I posed the question earlier, that I want to put my pronouns in as go/fuck/your/self. It's I'm the GFY guy, so but that's all I wanted to go ask about that for people who are smarter than me. So
yeah, you can call me whatever you want as long as you don't call me late for dinner.
Agreed.
Next up, we got to talk about it. WandaVision.
Wow.
Or do you want to sing it for us, Hugh?
WandaVision.
What was that opening supposed to be?
Malcolm in the Middle. Oh my God, the
Was
whole
it?
episode
Okay,
was Malcolm in the Middle.
Okay, that's what I thought too.
I never watched that show.
I've never seen it either, but I kind of was thinking, I'm going, this seems like a Malcolm in the Middle type of thing.
Yeah, I did, right off the bat, I knew it. And Avery goes, "Why are they talking to us?" And I had to pause it and explain what Malcolm in the Middle. Did you know that he doesn't remember most of that show? Did we ever talk about that?
He had a brain injury or something.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
How weird is that?
Now he's a race car driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Famous for something you can't remember. That's so weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
So we got our Halloween episode finally. That was in all the previews. I get a good chuckle out of it. The rest of the family went right over their head. And I explained to them, I was like, look, they're all in their comic book version costumes. Like, that's the thing.
Avery was going, "Why is Vision dressed like that? What is he? Is he a banana? Is he a booger? Is he a frog?" She had no idea what the hell that was supposed to be.
And I loved where they went with it, saying Mexican wrestler.
Yeah, that was good.
But it was cool. And I love the fact that basically they were illustrating their point that what looks good on the comic book page doesn't work in real life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Wanda didn't look bad.
Yeah, but that's an
Clunky.
example of.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't call it clunky. It's not utilitarian. It's not really functional for a superhero. Yeah. And a lot of, again, we talk about wokeness on here a lot. That would be considered inappropriate because how are you going to fight evil with your tits popping out?
It's a good distraction.
What if you're fighting somebody who doesn't like tits?
Do they exist?
Well, straight women.
I'm going to pose that question. Not right now. I mean, just people on the street. Stop somebody.
You like tits?
You like tits?
I'm just saying it's sexist to assume that would distract any villain because who knows what they're into.
Very true. But hey, you like tits?
Wear a GoPro for that one.
And bail money. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get together some bail money.
Did you guys also catch that Billy's Halloween costume was his Wiccan costume? I'm sure you didn't, Corbs, because you're not. Yeah,
I didn't either.
Yeah, I did, and I literally started chuckling, and I got the what do you see? That was a great episode, though. That was kind of a mind fuck with the stuff with Vision at the end, with it basically tearing him apart.
Yeah, but what made I wondered there is he made it outside of the shield and he didn't revert to that dead android. I had been assuming that in reality he was the dead lifeless android and she was just placing an illusion on him, but he got outside the shield. So I wonder if that was a haunting vision because she also saw Pietro, with shots in him and stuff, but that is not her Pietro. So there's no reason for her to have seen him like that. The same, you can't compare the two visions. Because they're clearly it's not what we thought it was. And Vision was clearly alive when he was outside the field, even though it was tearing him apart. So now I'm even more confused as to what level of resurrection she's done to him. I mean, maybe this is how we get him back.
That's what I was thinking. The same with Pietro.
Yeah,
I think this is how we get him for real.
But, you'd think that if she could raise him from the dead, she'd just raise him from the dead.
And go on instead of doing this. But
I'm going to raise you from the dead and create a fictional TV show. And take people hostage and live in it while the military stands outside.
Yes.
Maybe it was kind of a way for her to ease him back into everything. type of thing, kind of get him in a utopia type of thing. Not that
Maybe.
I have any fucking clue where the source material comes from, because you guys are saying it's from the house of M.
Yeah, but
Partially, yeah.
Yeah, but this particular part of it, the whole vision thing doesn't really play into that.
No.
I mean, and I think we can say this now because we're past this point. And correct me if I'm wrong. In House of M, before House of M, she actually had 2 children and they were killed, and that's what.
Yes, that was part of what drove her. Yeah.
Into the fantasy world. So this stuff with Vision being dead, this is all new territory for us as well.
Maybe that's a way of them kind of tweaking the story a little bit. She had the 2 kids that obviously passed away, so now they're bringing Vision back from the dead and her brother back from the dead.
Brother from another mother, possibly.
So, and then obviously, because I kind of remember Pietro from Days of Future Past or whatever when he was in there.
Right.
He thinks that Magneto is his father, so that would make Magneto her father.
Right.
And we don't know that Magneto isn't her father, do we?
According to the MCU timeline, we do. We know that they were just 2 nobody Sokovians, supposedly.
But in saying that, do we know who her father is?
No, that's Maximoff is all we know. Mr. and Mrs. Maximoff.
So
who are unremarkable.
It's still plausible that he is her father in that timeline, whether by universes colliding or in reality. And maybe in our timeline, Magneto didn't become a mutant, or maybe he was. I mean, we find out the X-Men have been hidden this whole time, or whatever excuse they used to fold them in. I'm sure that they're looking at that.
Oh, definitely. Because if you dissect the Falcon and the Winter Soldier trailer, there's already something that was mentioned in there that it's highly suspected to be pointing towards Wolverine.
What was that?
Mad Rapport.
Okay.
Apparently there was mention of it.
I mean, yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean Wolverine.
No, but that's the closest thing that is aligned with that place.
Yeah.
In the Marvel universe.
Did anybody else think that trailer was kind of lame?
I didn't watch the full one. I just watched the one on the during the Super Bowl.
Which, by the way, I gotta say, how are you feeling this week? I mean, I asked Paul what I won, and he said I had to gloat like crazy. I can't believe I forgot about this. And I was thinking to myself, I feel really bad for Paul and Corbs because, I mean, they lost their Super Bowl pick, and what if they're driving along this week and they lose a tire, they have a blowout of 10 to 12 points or more, and have to call AAA. That would be awful. But yeah, I want to know, guys, how come the guy that doesn't know anything about the Super Bowl can accurately predict that?
We were wondering the same thing because there was a steady stream of text messages back and forth.
Really? Tell me about this.
As the night wore on, we were like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like, are we serious? Like, I'm pretty sure my response was Hugh is going to be intolerable.
If he remembers, apparently.
I actually meant to bring it up at the top of the show and I forgot to do it. But yeah, that was hilarious. It couldn't have went any fucking better for this show.
Yeah, couldn't.
So, if you want to place any other bets on any Super Bowl games or whatever you guys have, I mean, feel free to give me the team names.
Run it by you first.
Butcher them and make something up out of thin air, and we'll see if this is a thing. Maybe it's a skill I have.
Right. It was just we were in agreement, so you had to go the opposite direction regardless. So
yeah, but I also called that it was going to be a blowout of what I say, more than 10 to 12 points.
More than, yes.
Which at that point, you guys were probably, there's no fucking way this game is
right.
Gonna be
No,
because we both figured it was going to be with a touchdown either way.
Less than. I actually thought it was going to hinge on a field goal.
Yeah. But, I mean, I figured 7 points or less was going to be the difference. So
yeah, not so much.
I mean, and you watch Sports Center now, and they're all, Holmes was hurt, and look, I don't give a shit if he was hurt. Paul, did you watch the game?
Me?
No, Paul.
Oh yes, yeah.
Of course he did.
The whole game, yes.
He was running for his life.
Yes, he was. That defense was on fire.
All over. I mean, they said he scrambled 497 yards around the field, not just up and down the field.
Right.
Left and right, back and forth across the field. The most by any quarterback in Super Bowl history.
I believe it. Like you said, he was running for his life.
Yeah, he was literally running. But you got to admit, some of them throws that he made.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
The one where he was laying.
Yes.
And threw it and hit the kid in the face mask. He didn't catch it. I was like, dude, how do you not catch that ball?
Right.
So, I don't know. But 7 Super Bowl wins. I'm not going to say it, but he's impressive now.
Yeah.
He really is.
An infinity gauntlet.
I think actually a good buddy of mine is a huge Bucs fan, and I texted him that night, congratulations, because this is the second time they've won the Super Bowl. So I just, just out of friendship, I just, texted him or whatnot. But if he comes back, which I think he's going to.
I already said he is.
And I think if they can bring back a lot of those guys, they got a great shot at repeating.
Now, I read somewhere, weren't the Buccaneers like the last place team or something? Or the previous year, the previous season?
They weren't good. They weren't a playoff
by
team.
Any stretch, yeah.
Their quarterback last year set the record for throwing the same. He threw the same number of touchdowns as interceptions in a season. It's the only time, like the exact same number. He threw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. The first time in history that's happened with more than 30 passes, like 30 touchdown passes. So I mean, I think they were 7-9 last year, Paul, maybe 6-10.
I think so, yeah.
But before he signed there, they were like, I was like 150-1 to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
And then halfway their bye was late. They had the last week bye, like week 12, something like that. Excuse me. At that time, they weren't even in the playoffs. They were they're out of 7 teams in both divisions this year. They were like 9th, and they really had no chance of making the playoffs. And then they won out to make it.
How are you 9th out of 7 teams? That's pretty awful.
Well, there's 16 teams in each league, Paul.
Oh, I thought you said there were
they had seven playoff teams.
Oh, okay. I'm like, man, you
you
ranked 2 levels below even the number of teams that exist. That's pretty awful.
They made it. They were the last team in. They were number 7 and won the whole thing.
Yeah, because they didn't start off well.
No.
They were not mashing at first. And then Tom Brady happened.
As he always does.
Mm-hmm.
As he always does. So Hugh, I'm going to say congratulations to you on a great pick.
Thank you.
And let's not have that happen again next year.
Oh. We'll have to see if this is a thing.
Right. See if it becomes a yearly thing. So, Corbs, right before we started recording, you said there was something you wanted to tell us about.
Okay. All right. So out of Oregon, they're requesting that teachers take this program that's called, and Paul, correct me, it's ethno-mathematics? Is that what we figured out?
Ethno, I'm thinking.
Ethno-mathematics, okay. This program is being asked of teachers to undo racism in mathematics. Middle school teachers are being told to take this class to dismantle racism in mathematics. The toolkit includes a list of ways white supremacy culture allegedly filtrated math classrooms. Okay.
Is this like, Sally has 10 oranges, Tyrone steals 5 of them. How many does Sally have left?
This includes focusing on getting the right answer and showing and being required to show their work. They're saying that they don't have to get the answer correct or show their work. That's white supremacy by having them do that. Okay. Yeah. There's more. Instead of focusing on one right answer, teachers are encouraged to come up with at least 2 answers that might solve the problem. So basically what they're saying is 1 + 1 does not equals 2, but it also might equal 3. If you can prove
not
that it
how
equals,
math works.
right, exactly. So my question to the two of you is, what the fuck is this?
Now, I would be interested to know, did this actually come from a liberal institution, or because we can't trust this, did it come from some right-wing institution trying to make the left-wing institutions look stupid? Because that's stupid. In fact, I think that's too stupid for any reasonable human being. Anybody that can get on Facebook and hashtag Black Lives Matter should know that that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, this comes from, and this came off of Fox News' channel.
Oh, well,
Well, there you go.
Who's backing it? Who is
Candace Owens.
It's from the Oregon Department of Education. They're the ones that are requesting that they do it. It's called Pathway to Math Equity Course, Micro Course. It's just, like I was telling Paul, I got this from a text message group that I was on, that I'm a part of.
Okay. I'm just looking up what I can find on this really quickly. See, it keeps coming from, everything I'm finding is from Fox News. Yeah, everything is linking from Fox. We need to look into this more, because right now, every single link I'm clicking on is linking back to Fox.
It's all coming from one single source.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not true, but man, I have a hard time believing that. Yeah. I mean, I'm the first to admit that the liberal side that I am part of does some stupid things sometimes, but I mean that's ridiculous. Well, here, what's ridiculous about it is that somehow getting the right answer is racist oppression. I mean, looking at all these articles, I would really like to see an explanation of that, why they think it's racist oppression. I mean, if you're gonna say 1 + 1 can equal 3, then you kind of have to back up why 1 + 1 = 1 is racist. I don't get that.
I just sent the link to Paul.
Yes, I have the link too. So that link will be in the show notes as well, just so hopefully someone can try to decipher this. That's interesting. That's fucking crazy.
I got this text message at 8:00 this morning.
Nice.
From these three guys, the three guys that are a part of this text message group, and I won't name any names because they're friends. And this shit went on at 8:00 this morning for a good 45 minutes, non-stop texting. By 8:15, I had 16 text messages.
Okay.
About this.
What's interesting? Ethnomathematics Oregon only brings up a single page. I mean, it brings up a ton of pages, but only the first page has links to actually the story or something about the story. After that page, it appears to all be unrelated things, like mathematics professor talks about racial diversity, things like that, completely unrelated. I mean, just right there to begin with, that suspect that only the first page that pops up references the article, and They all seem to be linking back to Fox News. Again, doesn't mean that it's not true, but that's a little weird. Also, not seeing a single. Okay, this is what I'm getting in the very first page, which is every single thing that comes up when I look up Ethnomathematics Oregon. Fox, allsides.com, WSWS.org, michaelsavage.com, spectrumreport.com, seattletimes.com, freerepublic.com, enmnews.com, and pathos.com. Now, a few of those I've heard of, but none of those are major news organizations. So that gives me pause there. I mean, we've seen things that seem like they were real turn out to be completely fake stories. So.
Right. The reason I bring it up is I was like,
oh no, I think it's great that you brought it up. That's fantastic. But
I'm like, really? White supremacy in mathematics? I mean, mathematics is 1 + 1 is 2. It's not 1 + 2 is blue. I mean, I read the article and I was just like, oh my God, this is what we've
Okay,
doing.
this is interesting. One thing says the studies that they talk about this, it has to do with the mindset. It's not the formulas. This is from SeattleTimes.com. It's not that the formulas and equations taught in current math classes are racist. It's how they're used in daily life. Nowhere in this document does it say math is inherently racist. It's how math is used as a tool for oppression. So they're saying, there are studies that talk about how specifically Black and brown students not being seen as scientists or mathematicians, it affects their efficacy, their ability to engage in that kind of learning. So I think they're trying to say that, people of color aren't seen as being good at math. And that seems, this, again, I need to read this, more in depth, but it's interesting that, that is really interesting. All right. Yeah. I don't really feel like I can speak on this, too much further, but I do think that's interesting that one of the reports apparently called out in a article about this says that, it didn't specifically say that math was racist. And I can kind of understand that. You take it, it's pretty much, known. People, especially racist people, but, a lot of people assume, if someone's Black, they're not going to be a scientist. They're not going to be a doctor or a mathematician or something like that, which is ridiculous. But I can see that. I just don't know how you can really, I think you have to change the way you teach to get those students engaged, which probably doesn't mean teaching Black math. It probably means teaching math better in predominantly Black areas in schools.
Right.
That's how you
focusing more on that.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
So
I wanted
to bring it up, but I kind of got a chuckle out of it this morning and figured, I figured you guys might like this. So
I do. It's generated a few different options for titles. As I added one more.
You and your writing down.
Do we have anything else, or are we ready to wrap this up?
You said you wanted to talk about Valentine's Day.
Oh, I was just wondering what your guys' plan was for Valentine's Day, if you guys have any.
Corbs?
I am going to be spending the night tomorrow night with my girlfriend.
Nice.
Tomorrow night's not Valentine's Day.
Well, I can't spend it on Sunday night. She got to work Monday morning. I don't have to work, so I can technically go there.
You can do whatever you want.
Seriously, I can do what I want, but no. So we're gonna spend the night together tomorrow night, and then on Valentine's Day we've got to go to her cousin's for a birthday party. So that's what
Nice.
we're gonna be doing. So dinner, just normal romantic stuff.
We are sending Avery to her grandmother's house for the evening after work. And I picked up a couple nice thick ribeyes, going to throw them in the sous vide and then sear them on the cast iron pan, do some button mushrooms, probably in butter and white wine, maybe some onions, baked potatoes. She loves baked potatoes with lots of butter. So just going to cook a simple but nice and elegant meal. And who knows what happens from there. I know what happens from there. But I'm not
We all know what happens from there.
How about you, Paul?
Nothing. We have no plans right now. Like I said, this weekend is mostly about Madison's birthday. So I don't know. It might take 10 minutes out of the day. That's it. There will be an exchange of gifts.
Okay, I was gonna say you got her something, right?
A few things.
I want you sleeping on my couch.
That'd be better because that's the same room where Valhalla is. So.
That's true.
Yeah, but like I said, I already know what I'm getting for Valentine's Day. She doesn't know because I've been dodging what I got her. I just keep screwing with her, and I'm like, yeah, I already won Valentine's Day. It's okay.
I'm hoping I did. If I can pull this out here. Damn it, where is it? There it is.
We're wondering the same about your head. There you go.
Since I know this won't come out before Valentine's Day, I don't know if you're even going to be able to see what this is. Okay, it's not nearly as clear. Yeah,
it's etched art with your guys' photo in it. Is what I'm guessing. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That is a very cool. No, you made it worse. There you go.
Okay.
That's very cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. I had my because obviously she'll know before when this comes out. Had my sister make. She's a big fan of gnomes. Like
Cool.
Like the stuffed gnomes. She's got a bunch of them around her house.
Dude, you never told me that. That's like a major red flag right there.
Gnomes?
Gnomes.
Or as my
She is
sister
going to feed you to her god at some point, and he's going to be about 3 feet tall.
It's actually gnomes.
Gnomes.
Gnomes. I had my sister and my mom have been practicing making gnomes. They made St. Patrick gnomes. So my sister sent me a picture, or my mom and me a picture of like a Valentine's Day gnome, and I asked her, "Can you make me a pair for Kelly?" So that's what I got her, and then I'm gonna get her.
So your sister got your girlfriend gift, Valentine's Day gift.
My sister she didn't get me it. She made me, and then I paid her money for it.
All right.
There's the justification right there.
Yeah, you paid money for it.
Money changed hands.
And then I'll get her a gift to get her nails done. So
Nice.
So that's what we're doing. I don't know what she's gotten me. She hasn't told me. So.
Mine is yet another PlayStation game that I won't play for months. There's so many.
Well, at least nobody said they got their significant other a gift that's teledildonic.
Are you going to come back next week and give us an explanation on that?
Probably not.
I
mean, look it up. Look it up.
I don't want to. I'm scared.
You've looked up worse things in your browser. I bet your browser history would make me puke.
No, because I'm a tech guy and I know enough to automatically clear it.
You clear your browser shift after everything.
Couple hours, yeah.
Every couple. I'm a once a week guy, so.
I mean, it's got to be done.
It does.
So. All right, so let's wrap this up with my my wisdom nugget, and keeping with the theme of Valentine's Day, this one is also geared towards relationships. Keep your relationship fresh by writing each other love notes like, "I considered smothering you with a pillow last night, but didn't because I look terrible in orange." Good night, everybody, and Megabyte me, bitches.
This has been a GeekPod Network production.